Hello, and welcome to my presentation on common usage errors. Okay, let's get started. Who or whoever? That is the question. Use who or whoever if you can substitute the following pronouns for the who phrase. He, she, they, I, we. For example, who is waiting? He or she is waiting. Since you can substitute the word he or she for who, then you know you have the correct word between who or whoever. Let's take a look at another example. Who did they say was chosen? He, she, I was chosen. Any of those pronouns work. Therefore, again, you know that who is the correct word to use in this sentence. The job goes to whoever answers the ad first. He answers the ad first. She answers the ad first. Again, any of these pronouns work, so you know that whoever fits in this particular sentence. Notice that these nominative or naming pronouns usually function as subjects of sentences. Whom or whoever. Use whom or whomever if you can substitute the following pronouns: him, her, them, me, us. These pronouns function as objects of verbs or of prepositions. For example, whom did you ask to pick up the order? Now, in order to determine if who or whom or whomever fits into this question, turn it into a statement. I asked him, I asked her, or I asked them to pick up the order. Any of those pronouns would work. Therefore, you know whom is correct in that question. To whom is the mailing addressed? The mailing is addressed to him. The mailing is addressed to her. The mailing is addressed to them. The mailing is addressed to me or us. Any of those would work. Therefore, you know whom is correct to use in that question. To whom is the mailing addressed? So notice when you are trying to determine if who, whom, whoever, or whomever is correct in a question, turn it into a statement and substitute a pronoun to discover which one is correct. So remember, who or whoever functions as a subject or as one performing the action of the verb. Whom or whomever functions as objects or the receivers of the action of the verbs. Okay, got that? Yes, let's move on. When to use I, me, or myself. Okay. This is a common area for usage errors. For example, Deborah and myself worked on the budget. Now, you hear this all the time. I know I do, and you might even say it, but no, that is incorrect. A lot of people do this because they don't know when to use I or when to use me. So they just stick myself in everything, thinking it sounds proper or sophisticated, or since they don't know, they'll just say that and hopefully nobody will notice. So they'll just throw myself in everything, but that is incorrect. So here's the correction. Deborah and I worked on the budget. How do you know I is correct in this sentence? Well, just drop Deborah and just say I worked on the budget. I worked on the budget is a complete sentence and it makes sense, right? You would not say me worked on the budget. Therefore, you know that I is correct, Deborah and I is correct, because you can drop the Deborah and just insert the pronoun I and have a complete sentence that makes sense. So it is therefore correct to say Deborah and I worked on the budget. Another example, Mark is attending the meeting with Don and myself. Again, you do not want to say that. Here is a correction. Mark is attending the meeting with Don and me. How do you know me is correct in this sentence? Mark is attending the meeting with me. You would not say Mark is attending the meeting with I. Therefore, it is correct to say Don and me. It doesn't always sound correct. A lot of people just throw I everywhere because they don't think me sounds correct, or they don't know the proper instances to use me. And to tell you the truth, when you're talking in everyday conversation, it might be a little difficult to think of these rules, right? So you just say what you feel you need to say, and most of the time nobody is paying attention, or they just gloss right over it. But you want to be a grammar superstar in your circle of influence. I know you do. So that is why you're going to get this down, when to use I, me, and myself. Okay, let's move on. I is a nominative or naming pronoun that is used as the subject of a sentence. For example, I suggest we schedule the presentation for next Tuesday. Teresa and I copied the handouts. Okay, easy peasy, right? The use of I as a subject. Use me as the object of a verb or the object of a preposition. Example, the report was distributed to Lauren and me. The prepositional phrase in this sentence is to Lauren and me. Remember, to is a preposition. Therefore, me is an object of a preposition in this particular sentence. Okay, so is it correct to use me instead of I in this sentence? Yes, the report was distributed to me, not to I, meaning you would not say the report was distributed to I. All right, you would say the report was distributed to me because you have received the report. Therefore, you are the object of the verb because you are receiving what was distributed. Oh, yes. I know you got it, don't you? Yes, don't get confused. Pause this video if you need to, but let's go ahead and move forward. So here's a good rule of thumb. Avoid writing myself, and especially avoid speaking it incorrectly. But if you do need to use myself, use it reflexively or for emphasis. What do we mean by that? Reflexive means that you are taking an action on your own without any outside assistance. Basically, you're doing something to yourself, or you're using myself for emphasis. Let's look at an example. I signed up for it myself. You could just say, I signed up for it. But when you say, I signed up for it myself, you mean without any outside assistance. You did it all on your own. I, myself, am going to the literature conference. This is for emphasis. You normally would not say, I, myself, am going to the literature conference, but you certainly can use myself to add emphasis on yourself for some reason. For example, I'll just take the garbage out myself, suggesting that someone else was supposed to do it, but you'll just take it out your own self, and you're emphasizing the myself, meaning you're upset because someone was supposed to do it and they did not. So, of course, you use myself to describe action that you personally have taken or will take, especially actions that you do to yourself. Like, I took myself to the movies. So you just don't want to write or say something like, Jim, Dan, and myself will take the company car on a business trip. As we talked about in the previous slide, this is an incorrect usage for myself. So you would simply say, Jim, Dan, and I, wouldn't you? Jim, Dan, and I will take the company car on a business trip. How do you know I is correct in this sentence? Because you can simply say, I will take the company car on a business trip, and it still makes sense. Okay, I know you've got it, so let's move on. Affect versus effect. Affect with an A means to influence and can be used as a verb. For example, the reorganization will affect the radio broadcast staff, meaning the reorganization will influence the radio broadcast staff. Financial problems often affect career decisions, meaning financial problems often influence career decisions. Effect with an E is an outcome or a result and can be used as a noun, or it can cause something to happen and can be used as a verb. For example, weight gain is an effect of high stress. Effect meaning weight gain is a result of high stress. High stress affects weight gain, meaning high stress causes weight gain. So here you have the differences between affect and effect. Affect with an A is usually used when you're talking about emotional states or to influence. Effect you use in cause and effect situations generally, meaning an outcome or when you are causing something to happen. Okay, lay and lie. Lay means to put or place something. For example, when you finish with the reports, please lay them on my desk. Reports are things that need to be placed or put on the desk. So lay refers to objects. Lie means to rest or recline. For example, all she wanted was to lie down on the couch after a long day of classes. So lie is something that a person or a living being can perform. A dog can lie down on the floor. A person can lie down on the bed. So lay refers to object, lie refers to people or living being that can perform the action of resting or reclining. All right, let's move on. See, saw, seen. Oh my goodness. I hear this abomination of the English language so much just walking around and listening to clips of everyday conversations as I'm passing people. This is a common area of usage errors. You would never say, I seen her coming out of the grocery store yesterday. No, 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 don't do that. Here is the correction. I saw her coming out of the grocery store yesterday. Since you're talking about a past event, something that happened yesterday, you need the past version of see, which is saw. I saw her coming out of the grocery store yesterday. Now, see is an irregular verb form because, as you can see, saw is the past tense. Seen is the participle, which makes see an irregular verb, and so a lot of people use it incorrectly sometimes. Let's look at another example. Let the doctor see your scar. Use see for the present tense. Use seen when forming a participle phrase. meaning you have a helping verb in there, such as has, have, or had. For example, she looked as if she had seen a ghost. Had seen is what we call a past participle phrase. You could also say, the police said they have never seen such a terrible accident. Have never seen is again the verb phrase or the participle phrase. So that's what we mean by participles and participle phrases. Okay, so you will be the grammar superstar once you get all of this down. I can feel it. I can feel it for you. Okay, let's move on. Sit and set. Set means to put or place something. For example, ask the accountants to set their materials in the next office. I always thought it sounded a little bit country or a little bit rural when I heard grandmother say, set that dish in the sink. But no, it is actually correct because you're placing objects somewhere. So you use the word set, regardless of how it sounds. Sit, to assume an upright position. For example, Uncle Dutch sits in his favorite chair like a stately king. So as in lay and lie, set is for objects that you're putting or placing somewhere. Sit is for humans or living beings when they are assuming a position. In summary, use who with nominative or naming or subject pronouns. Use whom with objective pronouns. Avoid writing or saying myself whenever possible, except in the situations we talked about. So at this point, go back through the presentation, make any notes you need, and I guarantee this will help to boost your confidence in your writing and speaking skills when you master these common usage errors. Okay, hopefully this presentation has been helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching and happy learning.